great. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Shadi. Saji. I can't even speak.
It's okay. He's my coach, but he still can't pronounce my name.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How's everybody feeling?
Awesome.
Who partied last night?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, I was born in the land of lakes and volcanoes. And if we go to the next slide, please. This is my disclaimer. I may or may not cry today. So please don't judge. You may or may not cry today, so I promise to cry with you. And are you okay if I might throw in a swear word here and there? Oh, yeah. What if it's the F word?
That's okay. No, your kids are
Fear! Next slide, please. So I was born in Nicaragua. It's a small country. It's about the size of New Brunswick. Imagine being born in a country the size of New Brunswick with about 20 active volcanoes in it and 2 huge lakes, right? Massive. That's where I was born, a very fiery land. Next slide. And when I was a little boy, I was born in 1975. In 1978, a war broke out, a civil war. Imagine if the people in Quebec got in a fight with the people in Ontario. And I mean, killing each other. Think about that for a second. What does that do to the population, right? The people in the country are killing each other. And so my parents had to take us out of the country. Next slide, please. And we moved to Mexico for 3 years. Mexico, right? That's why I have such an affinity towards it. I have family that lives there. And in 1980, we returned back to Nicaragua because things cooled off. And my 2 brothers were born. You might know, most of you must remember my brother Álvaro from last night. So that's myself and my 2 brothers there. And going back home taught me that I don't really have a home. And it's been really difficult for me to accept because I don't feel at home here. I don't feel at home there. I feel like a fish out of water everywhere I go. It's not a good feeling. So the only thing I can think of is I need to become just a citizen of the world. And everywhere I go is just where my home is at that time. So that was us in 1980-ish. And this picture was taken in Miami in 1984. Next slide, please. So war really screwed us up. And we talk about PTSD. And let me tell you, when I was a little boy, about Johnny's age, he's 8. The army would come into our school and start the propaganda machine, right? With their M16s and trying to glorify themselves with how glory and power and might of fighting for the country. And this scared me. It terrified me. And I remember coming home and I remember telling my mom, and I could see the stress and the anguish in my mom's face. It's something that I've grown with my whole life, is being able to read my mom and my dad's face so I could sense their stress. It's not a good feeling for a little boy to have. It's kind of crazy. It's really crazy. But it's something that I've been carrying all my life. And so I really want to thank you for letting me. This is the first time I do my story in public. So can we also say ah? This was in Mississippi. This was in Mississippi in 1983 when we left for the second time. We left Nicaragua for the second time. And this was potentially the most stressful time in my life. We went to live with my uncle and my aunt. They're my godparents in Mississippi in a small town, 10,000 people. Nobody spoke in Spanish in this town. Everybody spoke English, even my cousins. And I had to learn English in a month. Imagine that. I remember one time I asked to go to the bathroom. I asked the teacher. In Spanish, I said, I need to go to the bathroom. And she said something, and her face looked kind of cross. I didn't understand what she said. So I didn't make it to the bathroom. I peed myself. And I remember thinking to myself, man, there's a lot of pee inside of me. But when I got home, my mom punished me. Because that's the only thing she knew. She was embarrassed. And she was separated from my dad. Not their marriage wasn't ended. It was just we were separated because he was in Miami trying to set up a home for us, trying to set up a job for himself. By the way, he was a lawyer back home. He was a deputy minister, and he gave all of that up. He was the only income earner. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. He gave everything up, and we separated for 8 months, and those 8 months were the toughest months of my life. Could you imagine not being able to hug and kiss your children for 8 months? Could you imagine? I could only imagine how, there was no FaceTime back then. There was no email back then. It was just long distance. Remember those cards you used to buy so that you put the pins so that it was cheaper? My parents were separated for 8 months apart. And I think about my boys and being separated from them for 8 months. I'm away from them for 4 days at a boot camp, and I'm dying inside, right? So that was living in the U.S. I'm so glad I got through that slide without crying. I think we're on the home stretch now, guys. So this is in Nicaragua. In 1985, we immigrated to Canada. So it's been just over 40 years that we've been living in this country. And I didn't want to move here. I loved living in Miami. It was safe. It was bright. It was exciting. It was clean. And I had fun, and I was starting to have friends. And then my dad said, we have to go to Canada. And I wasn't told exactly why. And the reason is because my father was pumping gas at a gas station to make ends meet. Illegally. We got there on a visa, a tourist visa. And he started to get letters from what is ICE now, saying, you gotta go. So he took the letter and he took it to the Canadian consulate, and the rest is history. But I can only imagine what he must have felt, being chased by war. So that's our story when we came to Canada in 1985. Next slide, please. I'm fast forwarding quite a bit. This was the dating time before I got married. My wife refers it as the time when I was chasing garbage. And then she says, oh, and then I rescued you. And she's 100% right. She's 100% right. I went to the college here in Ottawa, and I was just having a great time. But I wasn't really fulfilled. I was just, yes.
Can we see that face now?
So I struggled because I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wanted to go to college, but I just didn't know what to study. So this is what it looked like in a nutshell. And I started working in the government, the federal government, in 2000. And that's where I met my wife. And I had one rule of dating. I said, I'm not going to date anybody from my work because I'm not going to where I eat. Because I knew myself, right? I knew myself. And then boom, God sends me this beautiful creature. And I've realized, my whole life, I've always felt like I was surrounded by angels or ancestors watching over me. And I feel they're up there, but as I get older, I realize that it's been God who's been protecting me, always shielding me away from danger. So, next slide, please. This is the federal government years from the year 2000 to the year 2022. And if you look closely at this picture, you'll see how excited I was during that time. Can you guys see that? Last picture, last slide. Can you see that? It was terrible. It was terrible. I hated it. Everybody was toxic. And I have nothing against people that work in the government. I respect that. But I wanted this. I wanted this. And I didn't get it there because everybody wanted to be what? Miserable. So I was there for 22 years. Thank God my wife was always there. We were always kind of working together in the same campus. And we carried each other because neither of us liked it. And so in 2006, we as my godfather says, we committed marriage. Like in Spanish, it's like we committed the crime of marriage. And I was so scared. We're smiling so hard because this was at the end of the wedding. And I took my wife and I took her to give her a kiss, but I almost fell on top of her. And I put my hand on the door and I caught us. And so someone snapped the picture, right? And I really love this quote because I don't believe in saying, you complete me. Because it's basically saying, I'm coming in incomplete. It's more of a codependence. And I really love this quote because you've multiplied me. And my boys have multiplied me even more. And I feel so powerful now. And when I'm in this room with my family, my extended family, all of you, I mean, I feel like we could conquer the world together. Yeah?
100%.
So, picture of the boys here. When the boys came, I started to feel what purpose feels like. Right? Committed. Try to derail me. You can't. You cannot. So my boys, my wife, my world, and I haven't looked back. And this is an old picture here, just to show all of you. Really old. Look at that. Look at that. Not a single gray hair on my head. And Alfonso had hair. Huh? This is like maybe close to 20 years ago, right? And I remember that day, that exact day, and I said to him, what's going on? And he's like, oh, we just closed on some buildings. And I was like, oh yeah, we just bought a pre-construction condo, and I was trying to fit in, but I realized that the conversation was not right. And our relationship, our friendship had been evolving over all those years. And little did I know that it would become what it is today. With WealthGenius. It's changed my life. And I didn't join a community, I joined Alfonso. And together, we're building, like, look, we're in the Chateau Laurier, guys. So I'm very proud of us, all of you, and what we've accomplished and what we're gonna accomplish next. So the other beautiful piece of my life currently is Expand Wealth. Both of our companies have the word wealth in them. And to me, and if you've heard my other speech, wealth is not just money. Wealth is a feeling. Wealth is a frequency. Wealth is your legacy that you leave to your children and your children's children. And that's exactly what, and I've always loved the idea of representing a REIT. I always thought it was just so sexy and prestigious, right? And some of you think, well, that sounds kind of corporate and boring, but what if you create your own REIT? What if you're associated with the foundation of it and to provide Canadians a better opportunity? Next slide, please. So last winter, we had the opportunity of working in Nicaragua. I worked from home in Nicaragua, my home country. And I took my family there so that I could test to see how they would react to living abroad. And I remember one day my son Santino said, Daddy, this is the best vacation we've ever had. I was like, And I said to him, son, this is not a vacation. This is living and working abroad. All right? So that they can sense that. And the amount of learning, and some of you are thinking, well, how did you do it with school? We homeschool. And we started purposely because of what we want to do. So, why am I here? What's the call to action? I'm inviting you to have a seat at my table. This QR code is to my personal calendar. I'm not looking for investors. I'm looking for partners. I'm looking for people that are resonating like me, that want to do incredible things for their future, for their lives. So if you want to connect with me, if you want to have a one-on-one with me, please scan the QR code and ask for your seat at the table. I've presented to you 14 chapters in my life. I'm ready to build 14 or more with you. Yeah?
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luis.